this out.
You gonna learn today.
We're gonna welcome everybody to the Lakeside Chat. I'd like to have our guests do a self-introduction and then we'll start the chat.
You wanna go first?
Go ahead.
All right, I'm Marques Clark. I'm a youth mentor in the community, St. Pete, a motivational speaker also, and what I do is I get invited out to schools and community centers and other organizations, and I get the opportunity to go in and speak to kids and build up self-esteem and morale into our youth and our communities, and I help in the education forum with them, doing workshops, and that's my nonprofit is Sweat for Life. It's a mentoring program, so it's speak words of encouragement today, and that's what I built that program for, was to help rebuild our youth and re-educate our youth, and again just building that confidence into our community again, that letting our youth know that you got people out here that really care. So that's what I do, and I'm also a poet. So
Yes, sir.
Okay.
Yes, sir.
Well, I'm Joseph Dames, long time Charles Park community resident, and I'm just me. I'm about being better, doing better, helping my community be better any way that I can. Simple.
Yeah, that
Grind
is.
hard, work hard.
It's grind hard, work hard. So spoken word. A lot of. What's the difference between spoken word and poetry? I mean, you hear people talk about poetry as like one thing, like maybe that's the Shakespearean piece, and then you hear spoken word, come across as something different. Is there a difference between spoken word and poetry?
I think so. Yeah, definitely. As a matter of fact, I know so simply because of the way I write the two. I write poetry and I also write spoken word. Poetry is a bunch made up of staccatos and
you got to break that down
yeah.
for me. When you say staccatos,
well, they just, these are words like okay, you got like, if I say firefighter, and they be like, okay, you say firefighter, and they say, what do you mean by firefighter? He be pulling some hose,
okay.
kind of like that.
Okay.
And abstract the
pulling
word.
hose.
Yeah.
Right. Okay. Got it.
And abstract and play on words. When
that's poetry.
Yeah, that's poetry.
Okay.
With spoken word, it's more so just an expression of a feeling, just an expression of the way you might be feeling.
Right.
And you do it, and you can take to the form with just that expression. I'm angry right now, and you might got something you write down. They don't have to rhyme. They don't have to necessarily make any sense. But you write it down, you get something off your chest, you vent about it. It's almost, spoken word is almost another form of venting.
Okay. Got it.
Just expressing the feeling you're going through, and most of the time it's not anger. It's just most of the time it's geared towards something.
It's directed towards.
Yeah,
something.
it's directed. Exactly.
Right. So Jay, what you consider the things that you write? Would you write more spoken word, or do you do a little bit of both, poetry and?
I don't know. I think I do a little bit of both. But honest to God, I really know nothing about poetry or spoken word. I just, like the brother said, I just know how to do it. I just write, just go with what I feel, just write. You know what I mean? And like sometimes listening, sometimes you'll think I'm gonna take off rapping, but I'm really not.
Right.
You know what I mean? It's just and really I don't like to put a title on it.
Yeah.
Or a label on it, whether it's spoken word or
just expressing
poetry.
yourself.
You interpret how you feel.
Right.
I'm telling you how I feel. You figure out what it means for you.
Right.
You know what I mean? And I always try to lace it with a good message.
Yeah.
And one thing about me is that I can't really, I don't like, when I was in the joint, if it's 1,000 books, I read 950 of them.
Okay.
But when it came to books on writing poetry, I never read a book like that, because I don't want to get placed inside that.
Right.
You understand where I'm coming from?
Yeah.
I heard
because once you learn how they want you to do it, then now you end up.
And that's the limitation.
Right.
Yeah. So basically what I did was, I was inspired by it. I seen the sister Liz Straight come out for Black History one time, and she had a radio show. I'm like, yeah, I can get this. I like this. And then, I was feeling something one day. I just picked my pen up.
Okay.
I realized I can do it.
Okay.
And at the same time, I was writing books, so it was kind of like an easy transition.
Right.
But like I said, I never read a book about how to, or I don't follow rules. As a matter of fact, my poetry book called Outside the Box, Freedom of Syntax.
Okay.
There's no rules, just do it.
Right.
Because sometimes when you stick to the traditional way of doing things, that limits you from reaching your potential. And I think that's with anything in life. You don't always have to be what they call politically correct. correct.
Right,
Just
right.
do it. Come off with it.
Right. That's a
You know
good
what I mean?
segue. Right? You can be poetically.
I mean,
correct.
yeah, definitely. I definitely feel what he's saying, because when I started writing poetry, I started writing poetry 8 years ago.
Okay.
And I never read a book. I never knew anything about poetry. I never found anywhere where poetry was done at. I didn't even know I had spoken word right there, or poetry. It wasn't until only 2 years ago when I first performed it, when I grabbed all my papers that I had written from those 8 years, and I started to just go back through them. And I looked at it, I said, this is poetry.
Right.
That's what I said. I said, man, I can actually do something with this.
Yeah.
And I went out there and I started spitting it, and people started liking it.
Right.
You know, so I had just bought my first poetry book a year ago, which was Nice and Huge.
Okay.
Just to kind of see how to format my own book.
Right.
You know,
right.
and then I got into.
So your buying the poetry book was with the mindset that I'm gonna write my own book.
Right,
so let me see how it's done.
exactly.
But it wasn't to learn how to write or to format anything.
No, I was like, let me see how these poets do get their poems in the book, and I was like, because I want to write my own book.
Right.
You know, I got all these poems.
Right. Jay, you got something on that?
No, I mean, I agree. It's like you get inspiration from the greats that came before us, but they really can't teach you how to do it.
Right.
You got to kind of sort of know how to do it yourself. And like the brother said, you can read a book and learn how to format it, but like what you do is what you do. So like, you know, you can have the same objective. Okay, this poetry, this spoken word. I don't really like. I mean, I don't know how to, and don't want to separate the two.
Yeah.
Like I say, just do it. But
Right.
like I say, mine gonna be a little different from yours. Or the sister might want to have a style that's a little different from yours. But basically, overall, I think the essence is the same.
You know, there's people out there, man. What he said. You know, you got people that come in and do this, what we call spoken word, and some people, even when they hear me, because that's what I do, spoken word.
Right.
So when people hear me, they ask me, the question is, they say, hey, I like that nice rap. I'm like, that's not
rap.
that's not rap, man.
Right.
They say, man, you got a good.
So what would you say would be something that differentiate a rap or a rapper from necessarily a spoken word piece or a spoken word?
Again, with rap, with something different from spoken word is it don't have to rhyme.
Okay.
It don't have to. You know, with rap, you know, you want to hear some rhymes in rap.
Yeah.
But with spoken word, you ain't got necessarily rhyme. You just get out there and
Make it flow.
yeah, just make it flow. Delivery is what you really want to. But it's really about what you. It's something that you put together. You see, man. You look. This is what I saw. This is what I felt. I want to put it down on people. I want to speak about this.
Right.
And you get out there and you speak about it. Some people don't do it in the way that I do it, where it got some cadence or a nice flow to it. Some people just read like they're reading off a paper.
Okay.
And that's spoken word, you know.
Right.
They're just trying to get them.
And again, because I can't do that.
Right. Just read like it.
No, I can't. I couldn't read you one of my poems.
Okay.
Yeah, it'd be the boringest thing you ever heard.
Right.
You know, if I got it off dome, I can reel it back to you then.
Right.
But then, like with the rap thing, not every rapper is a poet, but some rappers poets too.
Okay.
If you listen to it the way, because I think, you know, and it's just part of my mind. I think it's about being able to paint pictures with words.
Right.
And that's what it's about. And every rapper can't do that. But you got some that, like, you know, like a lot of people don't, you know, some people ain't really up on young rap out of Memphis named Starlito.
Okay.
Like if you listen to him right, sometimes he'll squeeze so many syllables into his verse.
Right.
It's like you got way too many words in there, dude, but he make it work though.
Yeah.
And he gonna paint the picture for you and make you feel it.
Right.
You know, you got like the Scarfaces and the Dre 3000.
And like the
Tupac.
Akim, remember Akim? That was one of his things, with the lyrical.
Yeah, Akim,
you know,
right? Yeah, Akim,
you know,
yeah.
just.
And I think your one guy, Wale, he does a lot of. If you hear some of his music, you hear him break down.
Yeah, the spoken word.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
And give a spoken word or something.
Right, as an intro or segue into what he's about to do.
Yeah.
But what I mean by like some rappers are poet, they don't necessarily spit spoken word, but if you listen to their music,
Okay.
the way they put it down, they just got a cadence, a flow, a feel to it.
Right.
Like, you know, I'm
Like what he was saying with the fireman and just that way that flows. Right. Yeah, and that's one of the things that's celebrated. Well, it used to be celebrated back in the glory days, I guess, of hip hop, where we talked about the flow. You know, because when you talk about like a Tupac and a Biggie, you can see Tupac as the poet and the spoken word artist,
right.
and then you see Biggie with that flow. It was just
that wordplay.
That wordplay.
Yeah,
you know, you know
take that from the big man.
And that's what he had. You know, that really just set him apart from a lot of the others, was just the way he was able to play with the words.
And that's almost if you had to put it in human form, There you go. Biggie was more like poetry. Pac was more like spoken word.
Okay, got
You're
it.
looking at it like that. Look at
Yeah, I
the
guess
difference.
that's
You know what I mean?
Right, because it's just self-expression.
Yeah.
You know, bringing it to
Exactly.
you raw. This is what's on my mind.
Exactly.
This is what you need to know in order to survive your
Pac,
circumstances.
and think about Pac. Pac was one of those truth tellers, truth speakers. That's what spoken word is all about.
Right.
It's about getting the truth out there. It's about poetry necessarily ain't about that. Poetry is almost all you write poetry and it's just you writing something that makes somebody feel good.
Okay.
You know, it don't have poetry don't necessarily always have truth in it.
Right.
You know, it's just what somebody might be looking at the sun one day and write about the sun.
Right.
But with spoken word, hey, every time I hear spoken word, it's got some truth in it.
Right.
It's talking about something out here, you know.
Excellent.
It got some real truth in it.
Excellent. All right, so we'll stop take a quick break, and we'll be right back.
We must stand together, all together as one. United, we must stand together.
So let's talk about the process, because I know you have a book out. You have a couple of books that are in process right now, collecting my thoughts. Tell me a little bit about the book and the process for putting that together.
Well, you know, for me, writing was like my therapy when I was in the joint. You know, I had such a traumatic experience, and then when I realized, like, whoa, it's a message in this too that got to be told. You know what I mean? It was nothing new, nothing unique, but it was just a part of the story that wasn't being told in that canvas.
Okay.
And that blunt truth.
Right.
You know what I mean? So that's kind of what I did as a way to cleanse and purge myself of certain things, and then as an attempt to, you know, to try to get the message across.
Okay.
And there was times where it was like, for me, writing, whether it be prose or poetry or spoken word or whatever, I got to have a certain inspiration.
Okay.
Like they call it, you know, some will call it, writers say writer's block.
Right.
But me, I just call it a lack of inspiration. If I ain't feeling it, I just can't go with it.
Right.
You know what I mean? Because
You can't force yourself to sit down and start writing and working on it.
Right, and I learned that from, and I think that was just my process of growing into being a writer, because I remember when I was writing the very first chapter in my book, right, and it's so, you know, so raw and gritty and emotional, and I was subconsciously trying to tone it down, trying to fix it up.
Right.
And I remember telling my mom, I was like, "Ma, it just ain't coming out right, man. I done tried it about 20 times. And you just saying," she like, just stop, just do what you feel.
Yeah.
Write it how it come out. And that's what I did.
And just let it flow, as opposed to trying to force it, like you were saying earlier about fitting it into some type of
I was
format.
trying to, because you know, I was thinking in terms of long term. Eventually somebody gonna read this.
Okay.
Right?
Okay.
And I don't want to offend nobody any further. I don't want to make nobody feel no kind of way. But then at the end of the day, like, you know what my mama told me, that's not what it's about.
Right.
It's about getting out the truth of it.
Yeah.
In the way that you know how to do it.
Right.
So that kind of set a standard for me. That kind of set a stage for me. So it's like I'm always go with and you know, and plus I combine that with one of my mentors, Brother Shabazz, aka Ricky Smith. You know, he always taught me that when you writing, when you speaking, you can never go wrong when you speak about what you know.
Yeah.
You know, so I can only speak about what I know.
Right.
You know, it might be some things that's another topic that I have no knowledge of. I can't speak on that.
Yeah.
You know, like Jadakiss said, I can't speak about the evil that men been through.
Right.
I can only tell you about the things that I've been through.
Right.
So now this is what it is.
Right.
And I know somebody somewhat can relate to that, because my story and situation was so intertwined with a lot of y'all. Roles could have been easily reversed.
Yes.
You know, so now here it is. Let's see if we can, you know, somebody can interpret this in a way so we can figure out how to fix some of this here, man.
Yes.
You know what I mean? So you don't get no more junior mans, but they hard to contain.
Right.
You know, for real. Like
true.
once I ain't lying, man. I felt Junior Man jumped out on me just recently.
Okay.
And I swear I thought I had this cat up under control.
Right.
But man, he jumped out on me and took control, and then when it's all said and done, it's like,
You got to be able to.
but that was years and years of conditioning. You got to work hard on that.
Yes.
So it's like, you know, my thing is, if you can keep it from developing to that from the beginning. You won't have to deal with that later on.
Right. That's
know
what
what I mean?
That's what one of the brothers told me when I first came into the nation. And you know, you go through that process of, you know, I'm trying to get right, I'm trying to be right, trying to do right.
Yeah.
And he said, well, brother, you got to realize you got more time out of the nation than you got in the nation.
Right.
So you have more practice being wrong than you do being right.
Right.
In this old crazy world. And so it takes time for you to grow and develop into this lifestyle.
Yeah,
because you can't just change, you know, certain things. You have to change your whole lifestyle, and then that lifestyle don't include certain things, or it do include certain things. And once you focus on, look, this is where I'm going, this is the direction that I'm headed, then all the other stuff start to fall off. But that don't mean that we won't be tried.
Right.
You know. So Mark, tell me about your process for coming with your book and just the creative process and the piece. How does that work?
Well, I just went to writing, you know, like I said, I went back into all my my stash box of writings that I had over the course of 7-8 years, and I just went to looking at it, reading it, and I'm like, you know, hold up, this is poetry, and I started to use it, and I started to see it inspire people.
Right.
And when I noticed that it can inspire people, I said, I wonder what happens if I can put these in a book. How many more people can I inspire? Because I can't reach everybody, but this book can.
Right.
And what came about on my poetry writings was just the form to say, you know what, I need to do this. I need to make this a book. So I did. I went into the process of looking at other poets, and that's how I discovered poetry. Really, you know, I wasn't looking at the curriculum of a poet, like this is how you be a poet.
Right.
I just had writings, and I said, you know, I want to put it in the book, so I did. And when I got it, whenever everything was said and done and completed, and I saw it, and I actually saw the book, you know, because people was already asking, hey, when you writing a book?
Right.
I got one in the works. It's coming. But
when you have that finished product.
when you got it in your hand, man, it's something different.
Right.
It's a whole nother feeling, man.
And just let me interrupt you on that point, because I think that's important for us as a community, because a lot of times the frustration that we experience come from just not being productive. You know, because when you got a man that's working and that's producing something, then it's kind of hard for you to be upset and angry all the time.
Right.
You know, but if you got all these great ideas and all these brilliant thoughts, but you have no way to turn your thoughts into reality, that's frustrating.
Yep.
And so just the experience of taking this idea from your head and then now seeing, man, look, I got this in my hand, that's something that can't be described.
Right.
We talked about it in one of the earlier chats about how, you know, brothers don't even know how to fix bikes, these youngsters.
Right.
You know, they don't know how to take a frame from here, a tire from there, and put something together.
Yeah,
you know?
Man, I had parts of a bike. I tell you, every part on my bike was not the bike original piece.
Right, but
that's
the process. That's part of the process.
Yeah.
You know.
Yeah. But I tell you what though, I shared something with one brother we all know very well said to me. But first, before I say that, I want to say I heard, you know, I don't know if y'all heard of Les Brown.
Yeah.
Les Brown said it best. He said you gotta write your story, you gotta write your book, even if it don't matter if nobody buy it. He said you gotta write it because it's in you. It's in you to write it.
Right.
It's in you to get out. It doesn't matter who reads it. It doesn't matter if any one person. It's for you. It's not for you. Write for people to be inspired. But your purpose in writing the book is because it's in you.
Right.
And he's like, these are things in me. I'm inspired to get this out. But I'll share something what Jabbar said to me on the phone the other day. He said, Marcus, man, he said, I want you to understand, man, you successful. I said, what you mean by that? You know, he said, brother, man, you might not got the car, you might not got the house, you might not got everything that comes with being successful, you know, the way they think.
Material, right?
Material. He said, but man, you successful because you producing, man.
Right.
He said, you're working and you producing. And that's what's important for our kids to see.
Right.
Our kids need to see that. And I got my mentees who think I am some success, and I'm like, I'm not. No, but
Right.
because see,
we have our ideas of success.
yeah,
right.
but they see this and they think he must be famous. I'm like, no, I'm not. I'm like, you know, people buying the book, but I'm not famous. I was like, this is just the work that's in me, and you got to do the same thing.
Right.
The work that's in you, don't matter who sees you working or not. and who recognizes you or not. Get your work done because that's what you want to do.
Right. And so, like the first time you performed a piece, right, and the response that you got, tell me about that. Like the first time you actually got in front of some people and you delivered.
You was with me.
Tell me about that.
Computer Basics.
Okay. Okay. So this go back to.
Yeah, we were young poets up there.
Yeah.
Listen, go back. If you can go back and remember some of the verses from Computer Basics.
Right.
That was like prolific to the. You understand what I'm saying? That was like on a.
Just for our audience, Computer Basics is a rap that we used to say. It was a part of a routine that we used to do in talent shows.
Passing the beat.
When we was in middle school.
Yeah, but if you remember the lyrics out of Computer Basics, that's poetry, man.
It is.
And that was the first time. That's why I tell you know.
Yes.
And that's why I always tell you, like every time I had to do some public speaking or do a poem or do something in front of a crowd.
Right.
And you know you get, because sometimes you're gonna get them jitters. It's just like that.
Right.
Sometimes, but the way I overcome it, I go back to that space.
Right.
So when we first did Computer Basics, I can do this. I got this.
Yeah.
Because I'm talking about what I know.
Yes.
I'm speaking my truth.
Right.
And some gonna dig it, some not.
Right.
But
at the end of the day, you delivering the message that you have to deliver,
and that's what's important.
Right.
You know what I mean? And it's like I've been to a couple of poetry. Matter of fact, they got a poetry event coming up. I have to get you the details on it.
Okay.
I think it's next Sunday. I don't make me lie. I have to ask Streets.
Okay.
But
like these open mics and the different forms, or
I don't know what the actual format is, but they asked me to perform. Though.
Okay, got it.
So it's like, but me basically, like when I go, I got 1,000 poems, right? And the only way I can recite or perform a spoken word piece or a poem, whatever we want to call it, in front of an audience, I got to know it. Mm-hmm. That's what Brother Shabazz taught me. You got to become your work.
Okay, got it. Got it.
Yeah, because if you get up there like the same thing, you know, back, you know, giving cook bars in front of the community, in front of the Muslim community, giving speeches.
Right.
You know, the brother taught us when you can't go up there reading off of no paper.
Right.
You got to have your research done.
Right.
Have an ideal in your mind what you want to do, and then the most notes that you can reasonably have is like some bullet points. Okay, I'm gonna touch on this.
Right.
I'm gonna recite that verse. I'm gonna read on that. But basically, I got to go with what I got in me.
Right.
If I want to make it effective.
Yes.
If not, I might as well get up there and read the book.
Right.
And really, I might well just let you read the book. Right. You know, just get on out your way.
Right. That's true.
Yeah.
That's true.
Basically, so it's like with whatever it is, you got to become your work.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
Beautiful.
That's very true.
Mark, the first time you actually did a piece, I think I saw you at Carter G. Woodson doing something. Was that the first time that you did it in front of an audience?
No, I don't think that was the first time. I think the first time was in Tampa. I noticed that there, I was in search of open mics, and the first one I found was in Tampa. But that was part of the. I think that was the first time, my first feature.
Okay.
That was my first feature. Yeah, it was the Carter G. Woodson when I got asked, you know, hey, come out and do some poetry, because Sister Mona Lisa.
Okay, yeah.
She heard me at the 909 Gallery.
Okay.
You know, that's open mic. So she said, hey, she told me about the poetry and solid thing. I'm like, okay. Went out there and performed, and but yeah, that was my first feature, and like Brother Joe right here said, man, you just got to go with what you already know your work. Right. You got to go with what's in you, and most of the time I'm going with things I saw out here, and ever since I've been writing from 7 years ago, I gained, I wrote a lot more. I added because you start to see more. You start to get, the older you are, the smarter you are now. Right. Hopefully. Hopefully, right. Right. Hopefully, so I got a little smarter, a little wiser. And I started seeing more, and I started writing. I started to write and critique my poetry to our times now. Right. So those are the ones I perform mostly now.
Excellent. All right, so with that, we're going to take a break. We'll come back with the last segment and wrap up. Lakeside Chats. All right, so we back, Lakeside Chats, and here with Brother Joe, Brother Mark, aka Mark My Words, or Jetson, as we said earlier. And I just love that, man. I really love the energy, the vibe, and the idea of how, you can take what's in you and put it down on paper. Because a lot of times, I think just in conflict resolution, it comes from not being able to express yourself properly. And so how much do you think that, you know, people just not being able to use words to resolve problems, how big of a challenge do you think that is for our community, as far as with all of this violence that we're dealing with now, and just brothers just not knowing how to talk it out, and if it come down to it, how to fist fight it out, you know? But what do you think?
Post about that.
What was that?
I forget what it was. Something I loosely quoted from E40, but that's big though, being able to communicate.
Right.
And you know, because sometimes sometimes you have, you know, real life street beef jump off over misconstrued words,
Right.
misinterpreted words. You know what I mean? Sometimes it's like, I said it, I meant this, but but that's how you took it.
Right.
But
right.
you know, because I'm a man and you a man, and you know, I don't care how you take it. Sometimes that's how we do it.
Yeah, and that's the persona, because you really do want to be understood.
Right.
But if you misunderstood and you act in some kind of way, then it's like, okay, well, I don't care if you understood it or not.
Right. So now it's like friction on friction, the fire spread now.
Right.
So I think that's real important, you know, for us to be able to teach our youth how to communicate.
Right.
And you know, they first got to be able to, you know, understand self, comprehend and read.
Yeah.
Not just books, but signs.
Yeah.
You know, and understand what's going on around you. You know, you got to know how sometimes you got to look and see a situation developing.
Right.
And move out the way, like pick up on the right, that ain't good right there.
Right.
That's finna explode over there.
Right.
And I ain't got the water to put the fire, so I'm gonna go on around and get over that way.
Yeah.
So you know, per chance I get took down by an affliction that wasn't intended for me.
Yes. Yeah.
You know what I mean? Or I
that's the case a lot.
right. Or I see a situation to where it's like maybe I can think a little further, see a little further.
Yep.
My communication skills a little bit better than yours. So I ain't gonna look down on you because of that.
Right.
I'm gonna be the bigger person to diffuse the situation.
Right.
I'm gonna keep my pride and ego out the way. Like you said on your little part, I'm gonna let you have that.
Yeah, just let you have it. Yeah.
You know what I mean? You really don't know. It's like you know your win is real small.
Yeah.
It's minute. It ain't what you think it is, but it ain't worth your life or my freedom.
Yeah.
Or vice versa.
For real.
Right.
That really resonated with me, man.
No, it's the ability, like he said, to see further, to have the foresight down the road, to know that our irrational decisions can cost us a lifetime of pain.
Right.
And it's being
That's a part of reading.
Right.
Yeah.
And that's a part of reading, but it's also a part of, you know, communicating with each other. It's like, look, somebody got to be the bigger man. Like Joseph, somebody got to be able to step up and say, hey, this ain't gonna work for us because I know where this can go.
Right.
I know where this can lead.
Yeah.
And I don't want to, I don't want to lose my life or freedom or, respect and dignity, and I don't want to compromise yours. So we need to come to an agreement and be able to walk away still as brothers. And hey, I'm not condoning any violence, but sometimes sometimes some brothers have to fight it out. But can you fight it out without having to?
That's something else that we done lost.
Yeah,
Right.
Can you
The
fight
art.
it?
art,
The
man.
art
Sport
of
of
throwing hands, right?
Yeah.
In the sport, yeah.
Can you fight it out without having to kill each other
Right.
and see each other the next day and be able to dap it up and say, hey man, look, let's disagree. Let's agree to disagree. We just agree to disagree.
On the same day.
Yeah,
30
on the
minutes
same
later.
day, right?
Yeah, we tight again on the way to the flip later, man.
Exactly.
That's
Let's agree.
That's something that we lost as a community.
Exactly. That's the art of. That's the true art of love. You know what I mean? Being able to settle our differences and walk away as still cool and. All right, man. Look, hey,
Right.
I ain't lose my respect. You went down for your respect. I went down for mine.
Right.
You know?
Excellent. All right, so brothers, I think that's going to be able to conclude for this portion. So how can we get the book? You want to share the book?
Oh yeah.
Poetically Correct by
I like
Marques
that, man.
Clark.
That kind of inspired me.
Yeah.
Fire up under me.
Poetically Correct, man. It's a book basically talks about a lot of poems and spoken word that I put together and writings that I have from over the years. But what it really is it's not political correct.
Okay.
It's not political. See, I don't hold back.
Right.
And a lot of times people try to filter me and my, I've had people try to filter me when I do, Marques, yeah, can you do, okay, I want you to come here and do this, but let's stay away from that.
Oh,
and I'm like, and that kind of, I don't like that, you know what I mean? I don't like being filtered when I do spoken word. I want to do what I feel, and I want to say what I need to say because I want to get out what needs to get out.
Right.
You know, people want to muffle the truth all the
Censor
time.
it, yeah.
Censor it. But this
And
book,
make it politically correct.
right? But this book don't muffle the truth. I talk about the president. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
I talk about religion in here. I talk about my personal. I open myself up. Listen, I'm not just talking about. I'm talking about myself too.
Right.
I open myself up a can of worms, and I mean, it's getting down to the nitty gritty truth in that book, and it's just gonna expose. It exposes a lot of things
Right.
that people want to muffle and filter and keep political correct about. I talk about homosexual. I mean, come on, man.
You gotta deal
No
with
color,
it.
no race, nothing is left off the table. I say no topic is off topic
Right.
with that book.
Excellent. And we can get this on Amazon.
You can go to Amazon.com, get the book, or you can go to my website and go to my sweatshop page. My website is www.marquesinspires.wordpress.com. And I got a shopping page on there you can go to, and they give you a link to the book.
Okay.
That's how you get the book.
Excellent. Thank you. And then collecting my thoughts. That's the first one that's in works right now. I think we have a spring release date.
The brothers just gave me some games, so we might
Might be able to advance that date.
Yeah. Hey, listen, I want you to know, man, you a real inspiration to me, brother.
I appreciate it.
So my book been ready for how long? And it's like
Long time. Yeah, it's been a long time.
Hey, but I needed to be here in this space at this time to meet this brother.
Yes, sir.
See that, and I understand the inspiration behind having because I remember the first time my mama typed mine up and sent it back to me. It was like, I was like so excited. Boy, look at that.
That's mine.
Yeah, so I can understand, man.
Right.
I respect that, man.
Yes, sir, man. Yes, sir. Appreciate
Right.
that.
And that's going to conclude this week's edition of Lakeside Chats. Thank you for joining us. Believe and do good.